Dr. Mathekga, good morning to you. Did you know, first and foremost, that the NWC, the National Working Committee, which is the structure that implements decisions of the NEC, which is the higher structure, has not been meeting for some time? Why?
Well, I've never really taken it very, very seriously as a structure that processes issues within the ANC. I mean, if you look at the NWC, you look at what it does. Usually, they will meet, process issues and recommendation and help the NEC. But looking at it in the past few years, I've not seen them really coming forth when it comes to really brokering issues in a manner that one could say has actually helped the NEC. They will make recommendation and whatsoever, but things will also deadlock at the NEC level. I've always, I do not know what is the NEC's expectations of that structure themselves. Are they really serious about the structure processing issues and doing the day-to-day work of helping the NEC, or is it just a structure through which they just pass issues? I have not really, I mean, I've looked at them, I was just looking even now before talking to you that they've had the last longest meeting earlier in January and so forth. I mean, should they disband it? Should they reshuffle it? What difference will it actually make when it comes to the strength of the ANC now, where it is? Would it really help? I'm not so sure about that.
Let's talk about the report at the weekend that was quoting some anonymous leaders within the ANC, suggesting that the president is more concerned about his work in government and what is happening there, neglecting party political matters and to the House. And the warning from these anonymous sources is that this may be a dangerous thing to do. Correct?
The last president who did that, the last president who focused a lot on government and neglected the party, we know it resulted in a vacuum within the party where the president was actually unseated before his time came to an end. That is President Thabo Mbeki. So it is actually a huge neglect if one begin to think that if they are a statesman in government and they do a good job in government, that on its own will earn them the right to control the party or will actually get the party suddenly fall under control. It is very risky. We know that the manner in which things work in South Africa, the electoral system that we have, is that the party field people to government. And there is no way that any president can say they've got a mandate that is completely different from that of the party. Hence, you constantly have to be in touch with the party and use the structures of the party. If you neglect it, the challenge for South Africa as well is that if the president neglects the party, you end up having a leadership contest loaded within the party and actually contesting what the president is doing in government. You cannot have the president who completely ignored it. It's a recipe for disaster, if you ask me.
The NGC is fast approaching. We know it's not an elective conference of the party. It's merely a review conference to see how much you know, is being implemented in government of the party's manifesto. A question here is that should the president have reason to worry? You're hearing a report about Lindiwe Sisulu allegedly positioning herself.
I think the president has already expressed a sense of worry, Koli. If you remember very well, I think it was before the election or sometimes earlier, some months ago, where the president uttered a very interesting statement in passive remark of him saying that if people want to unseat me in the next event of the NGC, we know it's not the platform for that. No. But if people want to voice the concern, the president was saying, go ahead, I'm ready for that. The reality is that the tensions that have existed within the ANC now, we know that they are around policy. We know that the policy, the differences among the members in terms of policy also defines the factions within the party. So there is no doubt that the NGC will be used to voice where the wind is blowing in terms of policy. Remember when we went to Galagai State in 2012, when President Jacob Zuma was going to that policy conference, that is when the radical economic transformation came. So in this NGC, I'm also expecting to see a sense of where the ANC stands. There are some who are going to contest. There have been some bold policy proposals that have been made in government, ESCOM, austerity measures and so forth. I think that the NGC, there are those who will be using that to gauge the strength of the president when it comes to those policy positions. And we all know that it's a precursor to the elective conference. The NC is permanently on a succession mode.
Very quickly, talking about government, does the president have reason to reshuffle his cabinet 6 months into it?
There are no exceptional achievers in cabinet. So he can do that on the basis of just merit to say that, look, we've got serious problems, let's reshuffle here and there. But the question is, what is it that has happened in the last 5 months that will embolden the president to have his own cabinet? The issue is that even if he goes for this reshuffling, there ought to be a compromise. I don't think he is in a position to have his cabinet as you like it. There ought to be a compromise on that. And the same compromise that was reached to some degree when his first cabinet was announced will most likely come to bear on this one.
Interesting times indeed. Thank you very much, Dr. Ralph Mathekga.